Greetings and welcome to Political Empire. I'm your host, Kim Pearsall with the Press Enterprise and PE.com. We're going to talk about how Riverside County Public Defender is worried about the budget cuts that might be had on his department. And then also the San Bernardino bankruptcy. We're going to provide an update with our columnist, Cassie McDuff, who's going to tell us the latest about what's been going on with that city's bankruptcy proceedings. So first, WINDOM worries. Amputation. Quote, amputation. That's the word the head of Riverside County's public defender office used to describe budget cuts to his department approved by supervisors as part of the overall county budget. Gary WINDOM said the cuts, which he put at $3.5 million, would compromise his office's ability to do its job. He was particularly critical of cuts to a special unit handling death penalty cases, saying it's stretched to the limit to begin with. He also said a planned $50 fee to be imposed on defendants using a public defender won't raise the $1 million a year the county expects it to. The county's chief finance officer counted that the office's death penalty caseload has gone down, and the county will help WINDOM make up the difference if the fee falls short of expectations. So we'll see how that goes. Now we're going to talk about San Bernardino, the city, and its bankruptcy issues. We've obviously updated you along the way as to what's been going on. Since we last gave you an update, the city of San Bernardino was still hashing out a budget that would keep it going. There were late night meetings and whatnot, at least in the short term. But this would only have its deficit by basically in half. So $40 million deficit halved. They passed a budget, but not before excising a provision that would have cut parts of the city's firefighting budget. Here to tell us more about what's going on in the city's attempt to get out of bankruptcy is Cassie McDuff, our columnist. Cassie, what's the latest? Because obviously a lot has happened between the last time we updated. There were many meetings that you attended and listened to. So what's going on?
Well, the biggest bone of contention is the fire department budget. And what they did was simply postpone even dealing with that. They're beginning to remind me a little bit of Congress because they're tacking on riders that are not part of these budget proposals to satisfy their own interests. For example, Councilwoman Wendy McCamick tacked on to keep a community center and a library branch in her ward open rather than closing them. So a little bit less savings there than they had proposed. Or the city administration had proposed. They also tacked on looking at contracting out for some of their refuse services, which are now done in-house by city workers. So that's a concern. And it kind of reminds me of Congress in that when Congress has a piece of legislation that's very special and they don't want to create a bill just for that, they'll put it into an existing piece of legislation and get it passed that way. And that's kind of what they did.
Nice. Well, and it's got to be concerning to employees about what's going on because many are going to these meetings and they're seeing their council members go back and forth and try and add things and take things out and so forth. How are they feeling about this whole situation?
Well, there's a lot of concern, and I think that's the reason you see so many of the employees at the meetings. In addition, the General Employees Union held a special meeting at the Union Hall to talk about what if you're laid off, what will happen. The city is going to have one in the council chambers in a couple of days, and retirees as well are going to have a special meeting to talk about what are the implications for their pensions and their future health benefits. Yeah. So yes, we're told morale is low, people are very worried. We know employees have been told about 100 people are going to lose their jobs, but the person who gets the layoff notice is not necessarily the person who's going to be leaving because of bumping rights. In other words, if the employee who's laid off has seniority, they can bump into an equal or lower position in another department, and that person loses their job. So it can have kind of a cascading effect. So all these things are keeping things very much up in the air and very worrisome for the employees.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of uncertainty. Thanks so much for giving us the update on what's going on. There's certainly a lot to update. And thank you again for watching another edition of Political Empire. Certainly keep posted to our episodes about what's going on with San Bernardino, as well as everything politically in the Inland Empire. And we'll see you tomorrow.